administration, because a lot of schools accept students for diversity statistics, but they don't actually help the students when they get in. I love nature. I love seeing nature. I don't want to be in it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to have to take a 20-minute bus to get to Target. Like, no. So the suburbs.
Cause it's the God that I serve, God that I serve. I don't deserve your love.
It's the life of a queen. Welcome back, Royals. It's your girl, Queen Persis. I hope you guys have been doing well. In this video, I wanted to share with y'all advice about choosing a college. Someone recently asked me for advice and I was like, I think I could make a YouTube video out of this. So shout out to that subscriber, that Royal. And I was like, okay, how about I share my experience, some advice, some tips, just to get you guys through this college decision process. First of all, congratulations for all of your wins, for all of your acceptances. I can only imagine how much that means for you and your family. So first of all, congratulations. All right, so let's get into the notes that I wrote. The first thing that I wanted y'all to consider is questions you could ask yourself. So firstly, before you do anything, I want you guys to grab a notebook and a pen or a paper, or perhaps just on your phone, and spend 15 minutes typing out writing out what your dream college experience would look like. What are you doing? What are you involved with? Whom are the type of people that you're meeting? What does the campus look like? Are you going for runs? Are you by the beach? What are your interests? Like, spend 15 minutes just writing it out. Don't think about any sort of constraint. Don't think about any reality. Just spend 15 minutes just fantasizing and thinking about what your dream college looks like. It's gonna be really helpful as we go on in this video. So after you do that, I want you guys to consider these 6 questions. First being, what are you interested in? What are you interested in academically? What are you interested in socially, professionally? Like, consider these things and write them down. And then secondly, how do you learn best? Do you learn best with some sort of like community involvement? Do you learn best when it comes to lectures, like large lectures? Do you learn best when it's like a small seminar? Perhaps you may learn best when it's just one-on-one. So write that down and consider that. Thirdly, what do you want to do in the future? What type of career field are you interested in? What type of profession are you interested in? Or perhaps you're a bit more entrepreneurial minded. What kind of industry gets you excited? Fourthly, how do you spend your free time? Do you spend your free time looking out at the stars, or are you down to go see a movie in the city? Like, what do you like to do to relax? And lastly, what do you feel passionate about? I know this question is a little bit vague and sometimes hard to respond to, but do you feel passionate about educational equity? Do you feel passionate about disabled children being able to have access to sports? Do you feel passionate about education and girls being able to read? And so after doing these exercises, so the first one doing the 15-minute dream college exercise, and then lastly, writing your responses to these 6 questions, now you kind of understand what you should be looking for as I go through these particular categories. And again, 6 categories that you should definitely consider, or I think it's important to consider when choosing a college. First one is obvious: price. Do you have a scholarship? Is the price of the school important to you? Is it something that you're okay with going to a little bit more expensive school if it means it's also a more like elite school. So that's something you should definitely consider if that's important to you and your family. But I also want you guys to try and look into if your college offers interest-free loans during your undergraduate career, because that's what Princeton does. And so for the people who take out loans at Princeton, they don't have to pay for the first 4 years while they're an undergrad, which means that when they get into their professional career, then they're expected to pay back that loan. And so means that perhaps you're getting a high paying job after college, and so perhaps the cost of Princeton for someone like that is not as intimidating. So consider the price and talk to your financial aid officer at your school. They should better make the time for you to answer all of your questions. Secondly, the location. So location was super important to me because I wanted to be near my family. I have young brothers, so I definitely wanted to make sure that I was like around while they were growing up. So that's why I didn't apply to schools on the West Coast, because I'm from New Jersey. And also I wanted to be near the city. Like, I hate cities. Like, used to live in New York. Like, I was actually going to visit Columbia University, and I was like, oh my gosh, get me out of here. Like, I really don't like some cities. And so I knew that was important for me, but like, I did not want to be in the middle of nowhere. I got into Williams College, and Williams College, the scenery is stunning. Like, I love nature. I love seeing nature. I don't want to be in it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to have to take a 20-minute bus to get to Target. Like, no. So the suburbs was like my ideal situation, which is why Princeton worked out. But it's important to know what type of person you are. Like, one of my good friends, she loves cities. She's up and about. She loves the amenities, and that just works for her. So you should understand what type of attractions or events you are expecting from your college experience. And also, if it's close to your family, your friends, you don't want to get homesick. So if you have the luxury of choosing a school that's closer to home, whether it's because you want to just be near your friends or family or that sort of thing, that's also important to consider. As I'm from New Jersey, I'm so used to hopping on a train or a bus and being in New York, Philly, or DC in less than 2 hours. So that was super important to me, that I could take like public transportation and be like anywhere. So I really wanted to be able to move throughout the East Coast region without a lot of hassle. And so that is why like I really enjoyed that I go to Princeton, because our transit is literally a 5-minute walk. So that is what works for me. So know what works for you. Do you like nature? Do you want some trees? Do you want to wake up? So I went to visit Williams College. It was gorgeous because I woke up and I was looking at the sunrise with mountains and a blue sky and awesome trees, and that was gorgeous. But again, I did not want to take a 20-minute bus ride to get to Target. And it was important to me that I had amenities near my school, because I definitely don't like staying in one place. Like, I want to be able to have more agency and leave campus and do what I gotta do, or just have that a bit of mental escape from the college campus. And so that's why it wasn't the best decision for me. Third thing I want y'all to consider is academics. By the way, this is not in any sort of particular order because everyone has different values, but academics is something that you can also consider. Are you pre-med? Do you want a PhD? Do you want a JD? Is it important to you that your school has research opportunities? And how big do you want your departments to be? For example, when I was a high school senior, I knew that I wanted to study neuroscience. So when I went to schools, I always asked about their neuroscience program. I wanted to understand how big their neuroscience departments were. So I'm going to use Williams College again because that was my other option, one of my other options as opposed to Princeton. But Williams College has an okay neuroscience program, but it was only 9 professors, and I was like oof, I don't think I would have gotten a real really in-depth or wide understanding of the neuroscience field with only having 9 professors in the department, as opposed to Princeton, where there are like, I don't know, 50 neuroscience slash psychology professors where I could learn a lot from and like visit different labs. Like, I'm not too confined. And so that was super important to me. Are you someone who's into computer science? Is it important to you that the program has a very robust computer science or engineering program so you can be competitive when it comes to the job market? You have to be considering those sorts of things. And also, along with academics, study abroad can go with that. For me, I definitely wanted to study abroad. Actually, when I was a high school senior, I wanted to study abroad in Oxford in particular, because I love Oxford tutorial program. So as I was searching up schools, I made sure that they actually had a connection with Oxford. So if I ended up wanting to go study abroad there, I had the option.
Okay, setup change because my camera setup fell down. But getting back where I left off, last thing I want you guys to consider when it comes to academics is general education requirements. Do you want to spend your time having an educational path that has been set by you, by your school, whether it be really rigid or like okay, or do you just want to be up to do whatever you want? And so that's actually the reason why I didn't apply to Columbia University, because their gen ed requirements is crazy in my opinion, and I kind of don't want to have a European centric education, and so that's why I didn't apply there, and I wouldn't have chosen that school, and I knew that I was a pre-med. I was coming into college pre-med, and I knew I was coming into college pre-med, and I also had different ambitions to study abroad and get different minors. And also neuroscience slash psychology is a major that requires a lot of courses. And so I wanted a university that was either open curriculum, meaning that there was absolutely no gen eds, or then gen eds were super achievable for the kind of academic path that I wanted. And so that's why I'm really glad with the gen eds that Princeton has, because I'm just taking whatever classes that I want and my gen eds are still being fulfilled. So that just worked out for me. Next consideration is class size. Class size is so important. Do you want to be a small pond in a big pause? Do you want to be a small fish in a big pond or a big fish in a small pond? I know that a lot of people say that, but guys, it's so important. I came from a high school that had about 1,600 students. We all knew each other, and for me, it was difficult to make new friends because people already made their cliques. Like, you already knew each other. Like, you weren't meeting new people, you weren't having new friends. But I also value like a small kind of safe space, if you get what I mean. Like, I don't want to go to a lecture with 2,000 people in the class. I still want to be able to have intimate seminars and be able to have a personal relationship with my professors, and also be known in my community. And so that's why a mid-sized school was the perfect place for me. Even though I applied to a lot of liberal arts schools, just by talking to the students, I knew that my personality was kind of like too big for a small class size, and also I was not about to go to school with 10,000 people. Like, that to me is like insane. Like, I just would never do that. It's just like too overwhelming for me. Like, I love mid-size, and so you guys should understand what kind of fits your personality. And that's kind of connected to the questions I had you guys answer earlier about how do you learn best. Fifth consideration is diversity, depending on what form is important to you, whether it be racial, ethnic, religion, international students, so on and so on. I went to high school where the Black student population was about 7%, and I felt that it was quite small. And so when I was looking for colleges, I chose to not apply to any colleges that had a Caucasian population over 50% and a Black student population less than 7%. It was very important to me that I met people from different racial backgrounds, ethnicities. I really also wanted to have international students in my campus, and so diversity was super important to me. And also when it came to religion, I wanted a community that was open to Christians or had a good Christian population or faith-based organizations, because that was important for my joy and sanity. And so depending on how important it is to you for those sorts of like statistics and how that ends up changing the kind of dynamic or the kind of college experience that you have, I think you should definitely consider that. And lastly, activities. This is a broad category. This is connected to the question that I asked you guys to answer earlier about what you are passionate about, what you do in your free time, and what you are interested in, and also what you want to do in the future. A lot of the questions. What kind of activities did you do in high school? And do you want to explore those sort of things in college? Are you a violinist? Is it important to you that your campus has a strong orchestra program? Are you going to be a lawyer? Is it important to you that you have a strong pre-law society? Are you first generation low income? Is it important to you that your campus has a department or initiative dedicated to FGLI support? Do you have a sort of mental disability or illness? Is it important to you that there's a lot of mental health support or mental wellness promotion when it comes to your school? And so this is kind of like the miscellaneous activity. I can say for myself, study abroad was super important to me. As a pre-med, I wanted to go to a place that also had a really great pre-professional advising program. As an FGLI student, I actually spoke with so many FGLI students who went to the schools that I got into, and just making sure that just asking them about their experience, if they felt excluded, if they felt supported by the administration, because a lot of schools accept students for diversity statistics, but they don't actually help the students when they get in. And so I definitely wanted that support. And also when it came to mental health support, I know a lot of Ivy League colleges, when it comes to counseling, it's so backed up. It's hard to get a counselor or a therapist. Like I watched this girl at Cornell complain about it in her YouTube video, and after I watched that, I was like, yeah, whatever college I go to, they better have a good mental health program. And so that is something that I look for in the colleges that I applied to. I know this was a lot of information, and this is not the sort of one answer that you might expect, but this is actually a starting ground to get you thinking about what is important to you, what you think you should prioritize, or what your family, friends, or advisors think you should prioritize, and how to have a holistic undergraduate experience when it comes to academics and social life, how to make sure that you are happy with the decision when you look at it 4 years from now. And so consider all of these things. Sometimes you might go to a school that is more elitist because you want to work in business or you want to work in finance, and we all know how important network is for that profession. Or you want to go into medicine or PhD school, and so you want a strong research facility that might be important to you. Or you are, lower middle class, your parents have other children, you're not trying to stress your parents out with an Ivy League tuition, and so that might be your deciding factor. And whatever you guys choose to do, I just want to say congratulations on getting into college, because not everyone around the world can say that they did that. So congratulations, no matter where you're going. Talk to each other in the comments box, share your tips and tricks for choosing a college, because I bet other people are going through the same exact thing. Hopefully, Royals, this was helpful to you. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's get this video out and help more people. Bye.
Lord help me please. I'm on my knees like a crawl space. I can get all I need from the breeze when I stargaze. We gon' testify, we gon' testify all day. We gon' testify, we gon' testify always.